Welcome to Don't You Two Read, a podcast where two sisters talk about all things books.
We're just two girls who found ourselves texting about books on a daily basis and thought, why not turn on a mic?
We'll be talking about our recent reads, a weekly bookish topic, and what we're looking forward to reading next.
So grab a cup of coffee and maybe even a snack and be prepared to take down your TBR and add a lot to it as we talk all things books.
I'm Hilary, a mom in Oklahoma, and I'm looking into buying more bookish merch.
I'm Heather. I'm a college student here in Oklahoma. I love all things spooky and fall. I also love John Mayer, Tyler Childers, and Noah Kwan.
This is episode 16 of season 1, and welcome. Today in the episode, we'll be talking all about Heather and her reading taste as a college student, and later we'll talk about our short list. Okay, so before that, let's just cut to the chase. Hannah, as you heard in the last episode, was not doing well, coughing a lot. Well, she has full-on laryngitis. She has lost her voice. So Heather, we had planned for Heather to already come and record some episodes, but I was like, Heather, it needs to be right now. So Heather is our sister, one of our sisters. There's 4 of us, but Heather's one of them. And yeah, so we're excited to have her talk about books. Heather, how has your reading been lately? Because you're in college. I know you're really super busy.
Yeah, the last couple of weeks have been kind of hard. I started out more strong, like summer to school, but it's slowed
Yeah.
down right now.
Yeah. I've read a little bit. It just depends on what mood I'm in. Like if I'm in a good mood, I feel like I can really lock in and read pretty well. But sometimes if I'm just anxious, it's hard for me to focus. So I've been doing my puzzle lately this week a lot. I've been
Yeah.
doing my Chick-fil-A puzzle. My Chick-fil-A
Yeah, you're almost done
sandwich
with
puzzle.
that?
No. No, not even. My goal is to finish it by Halloween, so we'll see.
Okay, yeah, you got time.
Yeah. Because that's when we'll have like toddlers over at the house, and I know like they'll mess with it. So, yeah, they'll ruin it. Okay. So my merch, I've been looking to buy a couple things. So, I want to buy, we've talked about it on the episode before, like the bookish goods. There's a sweatshirt I want to buy, and it says Salem Bookshop or Salem Bookstore or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like Halloween and it's actually not okay. I thought it was expensive last year, which is when I wanted it. But after seeing how much sweatshirts are now, it's like 40 something dollars.
Yeah.
But now sweatshirts I've been seeing have been going for like $70.
Yeah.
So I'm like 40 doesn't seem as bad anymore. And
Yeah,
because
40 is like
inflation.
the price of a shirt now.
Yeah, inflation. But I want to buy I've been exposed to where is it? Blackstones? Do you know what or sorry. Blackwell's, do you know what that is? It's
I don't
a
think so.
it's a European bookstore, but they ship to the United States and like they're actually not as expensive as you would think. I think it's a big bookstore in Europe. But the covers, have you noticed like the UK covers are so much better than
They're a
like the
lot
United
different.
States. Yeah, a lot of times I like them more. So I've been looking and shopping around, and there's like a book that comes out in February and it's $22 and that says it's including shipping to United States. And
Oh,
I was like, hey, Amazon was going to ship it to me for $18. So for a
yeah, that's
few more bucks
surprising.
for like a really pretty, I might get it. So I've been doing a
What's
lot
it
of
called?
Blackwell's.
Blackwell's.
Yeah, but like it's cool because I like the British versions a lot. Or just the covers. I just think they're a lot prettier.
They are. It's crazy that like they change covers for that.
I know. I don't know why we get the dumb ones sometimes. Anyway, okay. So we're going to talk about our books. Do you want to talk about your first book?
Sure, I can go first. The book I wanted to talk about was Butcher and Blackbird because I feel like it's like perfect time right now for that book. It's kind of like spooky, but like a romance comedy at the same time. So basically, Butcher and Blackbird is about it's these 2 serial killers, and they happen to it's like this like random meetup, and one of them happens to meet the other one because she got trapped while trying to kill somebody else. And it sounds really gory, but it's kind of like Dexter. Like they only kill people that are like other criminals and who they seem as like that's like a justified kill, like other weirdos. So it didn't feel like creepy in that sense. But yeah, it's like they meet and they just like they bond over like trying to bring justice in that sense of killing these other horrible people. And they have this competition, and every year they have like some outside person picks like the victim, and they try to go and they have to figure out who the victim is, figure out like where they are, and then whoever kills them first for that year like wins that year of the competition. And they just do it every year, but it's kind of separated by like the year of competition, and it's really fun to read because I don't watch a lot of horror movies, but I can tell like some of the references that they're talking about, and they kind of like make fun of horror movies, but they're like kind of in one because they're the serial killer going after other bad people. So it was really funny in that sense, but I don't know. I feel like it's perfect, like spooky, but not too spooky read.
Did you do this on like audio or paper, or how did you read it?
So I did all three. Like
Oh,
I
okay, yeah.
rotated between paper, Kindle, and audio. And this audio was really cool because I did most of it on audio, and I read at work when I had a chance. But the audio is set up like it's dual POV, like in the book, but the audio it has a man and a woman doing the voices. But in that chapter, regardless of it's like whose point of view it is, if the guy is talking, like in the book quotes, the guy voice actor is
Oh,
talking for it.
I've only had one other like that. It kind of tripped me up at first because I was like, I
Yeah,
thought we're in the girls, but I got used to it eventually. And then I thought it was
yeah,
I liked it because it did away with like my pet peeve with audiobooks is how they're like
yes.
like the guy's like unnaturally going high or the girl is
Yes.
like I hate that.
Like, and then I just went, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, I hate that.
That's the first audiobook I've ever listened to like that, and I thought it was really cool. Like, it kind of really puts you in their like like they're having like dinner, and you just feel like you're listening to the conversation
Yeah,
because
I
it is
don't
like you're listening to the conversation.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, that style, but I've only heard one other. So I wish they would do that more often.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And so, would you say that this is like a rom-com? Like, is it funny or is it like a romance or like what's the genre? Like,
So she like has it as romance, like rom com and dark like romance. But the dark romance is really just because they're killing other people.
yeah.
So like it's still like gory. Like they're talking. Like I feel like the perfect like is Dexter meets like a rom com movie. Like
So it feels like lighthearted.
yeah, it reads very lighthearted. Like you're not like scared and you're not like really grossed out, but there's some like grossed out parts. But like it's not scary. It's quite funny.
So did you give it like 5 stars or
I did, yeah.
okay.
Because I feel like it was the perfect book to like get me out of a slump. Like it's like they find themselves in these like ridiculous situations, and it was just interesting to read. Like I've never read a book like that, so
What
I thought it was pretty cool.
are you like a sociology major? You're right. You are right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so would you say that these people, which I know is different than psychology for if someone's listening, but would you say that these people are sociopaths? Which is
Yeah.
ironic because, yeah, because I'm like, they're falling in love, but can sociopaths fall in love? I don't know. I guess you have to suspend disbelief because I'm like, I don't know that sociopaths
Yes.
fall in love.
Because there's like very much like they don't feel bad for the people that they're killing, and they don't feel any type of
Uh-huh.
grief, and it's
Yeah,
that's
they're
like
like,
that's
that's
not
cool.
human.
You're like, that's
Yeah,
fun.
they'd be like, he had an eyeball like in the fridge or a head, and they're like, oh okay, like they're just like, but I think they like the whole thing is like they fall in love with each other because they like understand each other.
Yeah, no one else would get it.
Yeah, so I don't really know, but
Interesting.
yeah, it's not
Okay.
like in real life they wouldn't be in love.
Yeah. Okay. So my book is totally different from that, completely different. So I guess we'll have something for everybody today. My first book, I told Heather that I was hurrying to finish it so I could talk about it today because this episode is going to air October 14th. So right, like in the middle of
Mm-hmm.
spooky season. It is Garlic and the Vampire by Bree Paulsen. This is a graphic novel. The cover said it's for eight, the reading level of an 8 to 12-year-old. I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was like the cutest little book. It's about this little, I don't even know what to call her, a little girl, and she's garlic. Like she is actually like garlic, the
She's a
garlic
food.
plant. Yeah, she's a vegetable. Or if the garlic, I'm like, is garlic a vegetable? She's a little thing of garlic, and she just works on a farm, and that's all she does is help the little witch take care of the vegetables, and that's all they do is they take care of the farm, and then they help gather up all the vegetables and they sell them at the farmer's market. Like that's all she does. She likes her normal plain life, and her friends are like carrot, uh, celery, potato, tomato.
So
Like those are their little friends.
so their food, like
Selling
farming
other
other
food.
food.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting, but she said she's a live garlic, but the garlic she sells, they're not live. Like I think she has like magic in her, and that's what makes her alive
Oh.
because she was like, I want to make sure that these aren't alive because I would feel terrible selling them at the farmer's market. But
Okay.
so yeah, because I also was like, oh, that's kind of weird. But it's supposed to be cute. They're selling food at the farmer's market, and then one day they see smoke coming out of the castle and in the distance, and the witch is like, "Oh no, it could be a vampire. Like we and vampires, eat people. We need to get take care of this problem." And all the little vegetable friends are like, "Well, garlic, vampires hate garlic. Why don't
Hmm.
you go deal with this because, you are a deterrent to him." Well, she's like she has anxiety. And so
Oh,
she's like, "Oh my God, what am I gonna do? I can't do it. I'm scared and I don't, all this thing." And it's funny because when I was reading through it, Taylor looked over my shoulder and he's like, "Oh, look, that looks like you." I'm like, "Yeah." So like,
I know. It's like same.
yeah. So if you have anxiety, I think you really would identify with garlic. But she's like, "Okay, I have to do this mission. No one else is equipped to do it like me, but I'm scared, but I'm gonna do it anyway." So she makes a trek and to meet the vampire, and she's like, I'm gonna have to destroy it if I have to. But then, I mean, this review will have some spoilers in it. The the vampire ends up being not evil. And so
Mm.
it's a story about like courage and stepping beyond your fears and meeting new friends. And the graphic novel's really pretty. Like it's fall vibes, like the fall, like the vegetables, the farmer's market, the trees and the forest and the vampires. It was very, very cute. And it was like 150 pages, but it's a graphic novel. So I read it in about an
Hmm.
hour-ish,
Oh
an hour and a
wow.
half. Yeah, it's really, really fast. Like if you just sit down and read it,
Hmm.
it's a good one for like a quick read. I really enjoyed it. It's very cute. And then I gave it to Noelle and I said, "Here, if you want to read it, you can." And I had to
Can
go,
she read like that already?
yeah, she read it all.
Oh my god.
I went to a baby shower today and Taylor texted me. It's like, "Hey, Noelle's been reading this whole time you've been gone." And so I was there, went to the baby shower, came back, and Taylor's like, "Hey, oh," and Noelle told me, "Mom, I finished the book. I loved it." So she read it all.
Oh.
But Noelle's young, so Noelle's 6. So they said 8 to 12. Noelle reads pretty well, but I don't know. Listen, I don't know, guys, but it was very cute. So if your kid can read it, I think they might like it. But if they can't, you could read it to them. But I think Heather would like it too, and Hannah, my
I
other
like graphic
sisters.
novels.
Yeah, because they're like, you feel like I mean, you read it like a whole little book, but then it just made you feel good. Like nothing really too bad happened, but it was so cute.
Yeah. It's like with the vegetables telling vegetables. It's like in Arthur, how they have Arthur has Pal.
Yeah, like
And
the
they're all
dog has a
animals.
dog, and yeah,
Yes.
or Goofy and Pluto.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. And there's another one. So I got the second one at the library. It's called Garlic and the Witch, but I haven't read that one yet. So I will have to look into that. But this is the like 100th time I brought this up on the podcast. You've read Pumpkinheads, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was trying to find something like Pumpkinheads. Like I was
Yeah.
like, I want something like that, but since I've already
I
read
mean, that's like the
Pumpkinheads.
perfect graphic novel. It's like the best one I've ever read.
I know. That's what I don't know that it gets as good as that one. But this one was still it wasn't like as good as it wasn't I didn't love it as much as Pumpkinheads, but I still really loved it. Like there's nothing wrong with it.
Hmm.
Still
I was
cute.
talking at work recently to my boss about like because he was saying that he doesn't want to read Harry Potter because it's for children and everything, and I was like,
Whoa, whoa.
well, I was like, there's so like there can be kids books, but the kid books can be like well written. So I feel like that's like with that book, like it's for kids, but they can be well written, but you still enjoy them as an adult.
I like a lot of like sometimes when they're done really well, I think they're like even more impactful. Like they're just and I feel good because like with a kid in the house that I could just hand it to Noelle and be like,
Hmm.
this is fine instead of being like, oh, skip this page and skip like
Yeah.
and hiding like putting a book on the high shelf, which I mean obviously there are those books, but where
Yeah.
it's nice to have wholesome. Sometimes you just need, and I recommended, well, speaking of Harry Potter, I recommended Harry Potter to someone, and she was going through a lot. Like she recently, her spouse died, and um,
Oh my
she
god.
was
Yeah.
like, "I'm looking for a book where I'm still looking for this." By the way, if someone hears something, um, she's like, "I want books, like I want something to read, but I don't want anything really bad to happen, and I don't want it to be a love story." But I don't want it to be scary. And I was like, I know it sounds dumb, but I think like Harry Potter or like books in that genre
Hmm.
are so good for like those times of your life where you're like, I don't want anything too, like
Yeah.
stressful because you're like, life's already bad enough. I need something not stressful where I know it's going to be okay. Which obviously, like Harry Potter does get darker, which I told her, like it gets darker as it goes
Hmm.
on. But like the first few, I think are really like they get a little tense, but not like you're fine. You know everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. I'm in the middle of the second one, Chamber
Oh
of
yeah,
Secrets.
Heather's reading them for the first time.
Yeah. I'm slowly making my way.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear when you finish it all. Okay, what is your next book?
This one's actually a graphic novel too, which I
Oh,
thought
wow.
was kind of funny. It's also kind of a fall one. It's Over the Garden Wall, Tomb of the Unknown. Okay, so it's kind of like the context. Over the Garden Wall's a show on Cartoon Network, and it's like the perfect like fall show ever. It's only like 10 episodes, like 20 minutes each, but it's animated. But it's basically these like little boys who get lost in this mysterious forest, and it's like kind of gives Alice in Wonderland, like animals can talk and like there's like vegetable people, but they're trying to get their whole time, they're trying to get their way home. But there's like pumpkin villages and like corn, like it's very fall, like it's set in the autumn. But anyway, it's like the graphic novel is set like off of that. Um, Follows the same thing, like a boy, like the brothers are lost in the woods, but it's different than the show because it's talking about different like they're walking through the forest and they're just stumbling upon like these different villages and they're just like interacting with them, and it's very cute and like just cozy. Like I read it at work just on my shift, like it's just like very Alice in Wonderland meets like fall and autumn, and I thought it was just like the perfect quick like fall graphic novel. So this is like my favorite show ever. Like I own it on I have the VCR and the Princess TV and I have it on VHS. Like I bought it from someone that just like made current TV shows into VHS tapes. So I watch it at home all the time. But it's so like you and Noelle, like you can watch it with kids. Like it's one of those things where it's for children but it feels like cozy.
It's not
Like it's
scary.
like no, it's not scary at all.
Okay.
Like there's like some tense points,
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
it's not creepy in
I
any
haven't heard
way.
of the show at all or the nothing. That's so cool. Yeah, I'm adding it to my
I
list.
saw an edit of it on TikTok, like of the scenery and music, and I listened to the soundtrack too while like doing homework because it's just so cozy. I don't know everything about it. Like if you like fall and like not fantasy worlds, but kind of a fantasy world and like discovering new things, I feel like it's perfect for you. Like it's just really cool
How did you hear about it?
on TikTok.
Oh, so you
Yeah, like
recently you recently started into all this.
yeah, I saw it for the first time about a year ago now.
Okay.
and I've seen it a lot now. Like it's just like I feel like it's not really talked about enough.
Mm-mm, I haven't heard of it ever. It sounds like a good find, especially
And
because
you
we were
can
just talking about Pumpkinheads and the
yeah,
Garland one.
and you can read the graphic novel before you watch the show because like they're together but they're separate enough where you can like so like watch the show and read it and you still pick up new things and like vice versa. So I liked that.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good random pick that I would have never thought of.
Yeah, it's
Um,
cute.
okay, so my last book is Haunted Ever After by Jen DeLuca. Do you know what this one is? Or do you know like of this book? I feel like you've seen the cover. Okay, here's what the book's about. Cassie is living her same old life in Orlando. All her friends are getting married, having babies, and she feels like she's being edged out of her friend group. After lockdowns happened, she worked fully remote and never went back to the office. So why not move? She found a great deal on the cutest historic beachy house and decided to buy it based off of a virtual tour. Turns out the house is in a town called Boneyard Key, and they are known as the most haunted town in the United States. And they lean hard into that. Ghost flags fly all over the city, and there are haunted tours every evening. When Cassie arrives, she quickly discovers that while the house is charming, there is something amiss. Magnets are moving on the fridge, her laptop refuses to charge, which is problematic because she has to get work done, and she discovers her laptop does charge and work at the local coffee shop. She starts to spend a lot of time there, and she meets the grumpy, rude owner, Nick. I'm convinced these characters were based off of Luke and Lorelai. Cassie is very much, she has the caffeine charged, quippy energy that Lorelai has. So we have that love story, but we also have ghosty vibes that are happening too, obviously. So why does her laptop not charge at home? Why do things keep moving? So I really enjoyed the premise of this book. I knew that I was getting into a cheesy story here, but I'm definitely more okay with that, with like a cozy type mystery, which this kind of is like a cozy mystery
Hmm.
type of book. It wasn't like a romance. It did have romance, obviously, but it felt more cozy of that writing style to me. So I like that idea a lot, but the execution fell flat to me. I didn't think the description of the town was thorough. I wanted more, but all the characters were kind of frustrating. Cassie was annoying, and it felt like she was trying to be funny and quirky, but it wasn't cute to me. And the male lead, Nick, was also very meh. I didn't feel any chemistry, and it was open door, which I just didn't get. It didn't feel justified at all. So even like a kiss felt gross to me because I didn't even feel like these people liked each other. They were so mean to I felt like they were kind of mean to each other. And there's a somewhat explanation for part of it for him, but I could never recover. Like, that's a spoiler. I don't want to spoil it, but
Hmm.
I was like, I don't like this man at all. Um,
Not even a kiss.
yeah, I was like, gross, because it said they kissed finally, and I was like, oh, disgusting. Um, which I don't usually feel. Usually, like the first kiss in a book is like the best part, and
Hmm.
no, it was terrible. So, lastly, the ghost vibes. I did like some of it. So I like the idea of a friendly ghost just chilling, which this did have, but it took another step further. I don't want to spoil it, but it was very weird to me and it didn't do it for me. On Goodreads, it looks like this will be a series, but I will not be continuing on. So that's Haunted Ever After by Jen DeLuca. That is something I talked about earlier on a podcast episode. Like, I think I'm learning that about myself, that I think I like friendly ghost stories. I don't know that I like mean
Like
ghosts.
haunted.
Yeah, like mean ghosts. And I also don't know that I like this included this. You remember, were you the one that watched Practical Magic with me?
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember like at the end of the movie they have like an exorcism and they're like pouring the
Hmm.
Yes, that was in this book. And
I
so,
was when I first watched that movie, I was like confused. Like it
yeah,
took a
I
really
remember
dark turn.
because you're like, huh?
Yeah, no, for real, that cat. Huh?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. I felt like, because like pour the sand in a circle and say this 3 times and light the candles.
Mhm.
And they're like, chant this. And I'm like, I don't know, man. And then you're like, and then someone's talking really deep and it's because it's the voice of a ghost. And I'm like,
Yes.
I don't know. I don't like it. It doesn't even, it doesn't scare me. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I
It
think
just felt
it's,
out of place because I feel like I was trying to be two things at once. Like, because it started off very cozy and cute, and like, like that flute song that they play? It sounded like that. And then they
yeah,
were
well,
like,
that's how this
whoa.
book was too. I think that's what this book was trying to be. So,
And then it was like possession and demons.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, anyway, I'm sure this will be the right hit for somebody, but it was just a letdown. It was not. I told, I think, Hannah that I was like, nah, just pass. There's other better books to read. Like
I like the only like scare like haunted book I've read that I liked with ghost was Hidden Pictures.
that, yes, I was gonna ask you if you've read, I suggested that it hasn't aired yet. The on the spooky
Yeah.
reads, um, that's on there. And I said that because I was like, I don't want to spoil anything, but I think that one is a good one. Like if people want to try
Yeah.
ghost books, but feel like everything's gonna be okay. That one.
Yeah, like it feels more thriller than ghost, but it's still ghosty. That's because we weren't allowed to watch Scooby Doo growing up.
I
That's
know.
why we don't vibe with this anymore.
I know. Well, I said I'm okay with ghosts, I guess. But then Hannah asked something about demons, and I was like, demons? No.
Yeah,
But then I
not
can't.
demons.
Yeah, I was like, no, I don't like demons. Like that scares me. But I said it. I think it's also because of how we grew up that I was
Yeah.
like, oh no, like that's I don't like the idea. But I can't think of any books that have demons.
I think I stay away, so I can't. There's like love stories with demons. I
Oh
know, like,
yes, I have seen it. That's I don't like it. Like that
and I
someone.
just can't do it.
Oh yeah, my book club that I was in online, they had one like that. It was like the Princes of Hell. And I was like,
Hmm.
I couldn't do it. Anyway, it's funny. Um, actually, I think Throne of Glass may, no. Yeah, Throne of Glass may have some demons, right? But
I
they
only
call them
read the
like
first book.
demons or like
Oh, yes, 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 there is.
Daemon or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, Hilary, those aren't demons.
Demons. Okay, so we have those books that we recently read. So, on the topic of Heather, we thought this first episode could be just, oh, first episode with her could just be you guys getting to know like her reading taste, kind of like what she likes, what she doesn't like, and then so that in the future when she does another one, you can kind of figure out like, is she your book twin? Is she not? And all that.
Am I your evil book twin?
Yeah, is she your evil book twin? Okay. So, Heather, I have some questions for you. They're just kind of like rapid fire, like Hannah and I did when we first started. So, when
Okay.
did you first start reading for yourself? Like, what was something that you remember, like something that you remember just loving to read? And was that when you're really little or older?
Probably Magic Treehouse. I mean, I was young. At the library, like at our local library, they had like all of them. And at the time, like I think it's still going now, but I like always like
Yeah, it
read
is.
those. Yeah, see? And I remember like kind of bonding with Taylor over it because he read them. That's how I know he read them when he was young, and I read them when I was young.
Noelle
But
has started to read them.
yeah, they're just like I mean, I thought it was so cool to like they get transported to other times, and I was so fascinated with history in that sense, like Titanic and Egyptians. Um, I feel like that's when it's kind of started for me,
Yeah,
and then
Noelle read one about pandas, like going back into like
yes,
ancient China or something.
mm-hmm. I feel like when I was a little bit older, it would probably be Twilight though.
Yes.
Like
Hannah
I
and I are doing a Twilight episode.
yeah, I have the books, haven't gotten to start reading them yet again, but I remember like listening to them because like obviously mom and dad wouldn't let us read them, and I was like 13, and they finally let me, and I read it, and I was like, this is just the best book I've ever written. This is the like ideal literature.
I reread it recently though. I mean, we laughed, but then I read it recently and I was like, you know what? I don't know what it says about me, but I still love these books.
I watched the first movie again, and I was like, I get it. Like they're nice and entertaining, and then like forks and everything. So
Yeah, Heather and I went to Forks together last fall. It was like a
hmm
dream. I don't know that any trip is gonna match it anymore, but
yeah.
it was just a lot of fun. So getting to watch Twilight again, I was like,
hmm
oh, it's just the vibes. I think they got the vibes down perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say is your favorite genre of book to read, like now?
Um, I feel like it'd probably be romance right now. I feel like I've always kind of stuck with romance though.
Like contemporary romance or anything, or like what's your favorite?
Honestly, right now I've been really liking cowboy romances. Um, and that's only because
Hmm. I'm like,
my boyfriend.
I wonder
Yeah,
why.
yeah. I didn't used to read those type of books, but I have more recently. But yeah, I like contemporary.
Okay, is there like a genre that you like shy away from or that you just usually don't read or like what's something you don't usually read?
I mean, like probably like nonfiction for sure.
Yeah,
I
me
don't.
too.
I don't. I kind of like. I'm living nonfiction. I don't want to read it too.
I heard someone say, she said, "Hey, I don't want to," and she seems like she's very smart. And she said, "I decided I don't want to learn anything in my books. I already learned
Yeah.
things outside and I don't need to learn with my reading." And I was like, it just like set something free in me to be like, oh, I don't have to be like educating myself
Yeah.
all the time with something like that I'm reading. I could just read for fun.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't really pick up horror very much, solely because I'm like, what if this is gonna scare me so bad that I'm not gonna sleep all night? you know,
Yeah. And
like
that
I can
usually
usually
goes in maybe
handle.
demons.
Yeah, and I just don't do that. Like those are the few that I'm like I usually stay away from.
Yeah. Okay. So if you had to pick, what would be like one of your favorite books of all time? Like, I know that's hard, like to pick one, but I mean, you can pick more than one if you wanted to. But like, what's the book that you like? If someone said, "What is your favorite book?" What comes to mind?
Where the Crawdads Sing, honestly, is the first book that comes to like my mind. I
Yes,
don't know.
that's a
Like
very good
it's
one.
yeah, like it was like it had a little bit of romance, but it had like mystery and like it was beautiful. Like I love how it was written about nature. I don't know, like
Hmm.
everything about it I think was just perfect.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always trying to find another book like that. And I feel like that is a book people often use to reference, like, oh,
Yeah.
if you like Where the Crawdads Sing, and it never is the same. It
Mhm.
never is.
There's no book like that. Like I swear, I can't find anything.
And
And like
Delia
the
Owens is like, I don't know what she's doing.
yeah, well she was a wildlife writer first.
Yeah, well,
I think
she
that's why
hasn't
her book
written
was so good.
again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good I love that book also. That's a one of my
I got
favorites as
it.
well.
I got it from you because I think you got it in Seattle, and you brought
Hmm.
it back home, and I read it. Yeah, and I loved it.
Yeah, I read that one in Seattle and in Portland the last one of the last times I went. And I hadn't read in a long time because of college, like which we'll talk about in a
Yeah.
minute. But I was like, I have no idea what to read, none. So I was like walking through the Amazon bookstore, which does not exist anymore. And
Oh, R.I.P.
yeah. And I saw that one and I saw Crazy Rich Asians,
Oh
which
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I haven't read that one still, but I had both of them in my hand and I was like, I guess I'll pick this one. And it was a super hit for me, which never happens and it's never going to happen again. It was just book magic. Okay, so that like Where the Crawdads Sing, that's like one of your favorite books of all time. Do you know, like, is there a favorite book or a book that comes to mind for something that has been like one of the best you've had this year?
This year, um, I read it's one of the Bromance book club's books. I read the Christmas one, A Very Merry Bromance, and I loved it. I mean, I read it after Christmas, and I thought it was like really fun to read. Because it's like country, like it's in Nashville, and it's like Grumpy Sunshine. Hannah read it and hated it actually.
It's celebrity romance, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think I rated it 5, and she rated it 2. So like complete opposites, which isn't that surprising because I feel like Hannah and I are like opposites anyway.
Evil twins.
Yeah, for real. And I also reread A Court of Thorns and Roses this year.
Yeah. All of them or just the first one?
It's just the first one. I read it at work and I loved it. Like, I mean, I loved it before, but I feel like I realized a lot more like Easter eggs and stuff like that the second
Yeah,
time.
for sure, because you know what's coming.
Yeah.
Okay, so a question. You said, okay, for like Butcher and Blackbeard, you did like all three, or you did like three modes of
Mm-hmm.
reading. So my question is, which one's your favorite? Like if you had to pick one forever, like a paper, like a physical book, your Kindle or audio, like which one's your favorite? Or which one do you do the most? Like what, I guess they could be different.
I like audio the most, I think. I used to read like different stages of my life have like different formats have matched that. It's like in high school I read a lot of on my Kindle because I had like the Amazon tablets. I read a lot on there in high school. And then now in college, like I don't really have a lot of time to like sit down and read because I feel like any sit down time is just doing homework. So I like to listen to them like while I get ready, drive. If I like color, I'll just play one, and I feel like it's easy. I listen to them at like 5.7, like 1.75.
It's
So
like five. Oh my God.
no, not five. I said that. And I was like, that's not right.
One point, okay,
1.75.
1.75 is still fast for me. I usually listen to them like at 1.25, but I don't listen to a lot of audio. And I've heard
Mm.
people say that you can train yourself to listen faster.
Yeah, I've listened to them at two before, and I got used to that. Like your brain just adapts. Like
That's crazy.
it feels like the new normal. And so
Does
when
it
I listen
sound
to them,
like to you or no?
I feel like it did when I started, but now like that I couldn't do it now. Now 1.75 is what I'm used to. But yeah, before like now one, it sounds like, and then I decided to open the door, and I'm like, can we go faster?
Yeah, one does feel slow. Well, that kind of leads to my next question of like, I just have a question here. It says reading in college. What has that been like? Because I know for me, I basically stopped reading completely for like almost 6 years.
Yeah. Um. Well, I'm about to get my associate, so it's been a little over 2 years. I read a lot more my senior year of high school. Like, I read 60 books, and then my first year in college, I read eight. So I feel like that really shows
Yeah,
the
because you're
difference.
reading so much for college already, like textbooks.
Yeah. You're constantly reading, and then you're just like mentally exhausted to like keep reading. But I feel like audiobooks have really helped me like continue reading. Like this year I've read 11, which is pretty good considering like last year was 8. I think it's just like it needs to become more of like for fun. Like you need
Yeah.
to get rid of the idea of having like you can have a goal, but I set mine real low so I can like hopefully go above that. Like
Hmm.
it has to just be about enjoyment because I feel like it gets easy to be like, well, they're reading so many books and I'm reading them so slow, but like and then it just takes the fun out of reading. So you got to give yourself
Hmm.
that like you're going to go slower and you have to be a lot more intentional with what you pick because like you don't have all the time. So you like it kind of feels like I really have to pick and choose.
Yeah. Do you feel like you pick more lighthearted books now?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I used to feel like I would go more towards like better, like not better, but more well written books probably. But that's why I think like romance is my favorite genre right now because it's just like lighthearted and I feel like I don't really read like the super emotional romances.
So you like the happily ever after romance?
Yeah, I do. Like I've
Yeah.
I've read probably like I think I've only read romance this year except like a few graphic novels and like Harry Potter.
So do you think it's like escapism for you? Like reading?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's just the idea like everything works out, everyone's happy,
Yeah.
and it's just nice cuz when you're in your own world like with work and school and like personal life, it just gets like very chaotic, so it's nice to have that.
Yes, for sure. That's how I feel too. And like you said, like setting your goal very low. When I started reading again, I say that. I mean, I read like a book here and there, like maybe one or like over Christmas
Mm-hmm.
or something, but like that's it. But when I started reading a lot again, I set, I think my goal was like, and it was ambitious. It felt ambitious, was 10 for the year. And I was
Yeah, I
like,
set
I
mine for
don't
10
know
this
that I
year.
can do that, but that was what I would like to do. That was like my goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe I read 12 and I was really happy with it. And so, but I was like, I read 12 good books, so I was really happy with that.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel like a lot of my reads this year have been 4 to 5 stars because I feel like I've been a lot more like picky with it.
yeah. And so now, which we have not talked about this on the podcast, which we should, about reading goals. I actually don't have a goal this year. Like you said,
Oh,
I think I started um feeling like
it
I
feels like
need
a
like for
competition.
well, yeah, at the end of the month, like for example, right now it's the end of the month, and I would have to be like, I need to sit down and finish this book right now, where my mind is wandering, or I feel like I'm hate reading something, or,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no, I need to finish it because it's the end of the month and I need to get this in for my September books. And then I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
why? Like, what does it matter? What does it matter if I finish it in September or October or, like, or if my mind's just not in it and I'm just very grumpy and I'm gonna hate this book, I should just wait and read it later and
Mm-hmm.
do a puzzle or watch some TV or, whatever.
Yeah, I've been watching more TV right now because I feel like that's what I need for that escapism.
Okay, so my last question for you is what do you have a bookish toxic trait? Like, I think I said, what was mine? I think
Don't you
mine was,
dog yearbooks?
I did not say that was my toxic trait, but yes, I do that. I
Oh, you should
definitely
have said that.
I don't have a problem with it. It doesn't bother me. But
It
and
bothers me.
I've had people tell me they're like, I stained your book. I'm so sorry. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I literally don't care. And I'm like, to me, it says that you read it, you loved it. It does not bother me. Like, it does. I
Mm.
don't care. But I discovered once I got Instagram that people are like the heathens who dog ear their book. I'm like, oh, I don't know. It doesn't bother me. But yes, I think mine was requesting things on NetGalley and then not being able to finish and review them. Like, just
Yes.
that was mine. I'm like, I keep requesting things and then I keep not meeting my deadline. And
Hmm.
so that was mine. So do you think you have one?
Mine's probably like on Libby. I'll like be like, I definitely want to read this book, and I borrow all these books, or like if there's like long holds, I'll like request them, and then they'll come, and I just like keep pushing them back, and I kind of like in the back of my mind know I'm not going to get to it,
Yeah,
but I'm like,
ever?
yeah, I'm like I'm never gonna read it, but I'm like, what if I do want to read it? I don't want to get in the back of that 100 person line,
Do
so
you
I keep
know
pushing
that
it
it'll
back.
tell you how many times you pushed it back?
No.
I know because I looked recently on mine, and that's how I kind of decided because I needed more space. I had 10 requests,
Yeah.
and I was like, I want another one. And then one of them, it was like, yeah, you've pushed this back 9 times. And I'm like, okay. And then it's funny because like some of them I'll start like at 100 and something. And then by the time it's ninth time, it says like, hey, you're number one and you're the only person waiting. And I'm like, okay, I have to be honest with myself and be like, okay, yeah, Hilary, you don't want to read this book. It's been
Yeah.
9 weeks that it's been given to you.
Yeah, that's right after I read Butchered and Blackbird, I was like, oh, I need it because it's a series now. So I was
Oh,
really wanting to read
I said Butcher and Blackbeard. My bad. Blackbird.
Blackbird. Yeah. It's like a series of companion novels, and I wanted to read the next one, and I kept pushing it back because I'm like, I want to read it, but I don't have time. So yeah, I kind of eventually I was just like cancel hold.
Yeah, you're like, it's not the time for me. It'll come back if I want to.
Yeah, I guess that and my other one would probably be losing books, like physical books. Man, I lose them left and right.
Do
Like
you find them?
yeah, sometimes. Like I'm just like always on the go, so I'll be like, oh, it's at work, it's in my backpack. I'll be like, where did that book go? And I wanted to read it at night, and I can't find it. Like I won't be able to find it, and then I'll forget that I wanted to read it, and then I'll just find it like in my desk at work, and I was like, oh, that's where I put that book.
Yeah. That's why I kind of have thought about putting an air tag on my Kindle.
Oh. Oh my god.
Don't mock it.
Those things are pricey though.
Yeah, I don't want to lose it. Okay. So that was a little bit about Heather and about like her reading taste. So now let's talk about the short list. And so it's funny because Hannah and I were talking to Heather about the short list thing recently, and Heather's like, "What even is this?" And Hannah was like, "Here's a screenshot of
Screenshot
it."
it. I
Here's
was
a
like, what is this
screenshot of the
short list?
description and like all zoomed in. It's funny because Hannah will be editing this, even though she couldn't speak. She's going to edit it and she's going to be like, oh, well. Okay, so the short list is basically, okay, Hannah and I view it differently. I view a short list as like a TBR, like something I'm interested in, I would like to read soon. Hannah like sticks very true to her short list. It's almost like what's she's going to read next. Me, I'm
Mm.
like, we'll see. I would like to read it, but it depends on my mood. So, do you have something like on your short list?
Yeah, I feel like uh BK Borison, yeah. She wrote the Love Light Farms series and she just released a book. It's not from that series, it's a different one, but it's called First Time Caller. And I've seen it on Instagram a few times here and there.
Is it out already?
I think so. Oh, no, it's not out? Okay, I was looking at I guess the early people then. Okay.
She also
Maybe,
has that book, is it Mixed Signals? No,
no. What's that? Business Casual.
Business Casual. Mixed Signals is the other one.
Man,
Business Casual is her new one.
I'm ahead of schedule.
But you want to read the
Um,
first time caller.
yes, it's on my mind. But the other one's the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I see everyone's talking about that right now.
Yeah, I have that one actually on my Kindle. I
Lori
bought it on
Gilmore.
I bought it on a Kindle deal.
Yeah,
Um,
everyone's been saying it's like cozy. It's not cozy mystery. It's just like cozy fiction.
cozy like romance.
Yeah.
Okay. Mine is, hang on, I had it here. Silver Lies by Willa Lane. This showed up like on my like For You page or I don't know, whatever. It was like suggested to me on Instagram. I don't know how I got it. But it's a low spice adult fantasy. Um, so I don't have the premise here, but the premise doesn't sound very different. It's funny. It's like every other fantasy novel you've read about like a girl who's different and like in this regular anybody and they have a corrupt government and she may have powers, but
hmm But
but
she's just
um
not like other girls.
yeah. She basically it's in a world where everyone kills blondes
Oh.
because they don't know why. They just think like blondes may have a certain power, but they have been killed off for many years, and she's of course blonde, so she has to dye her hair dark and keep it
Hmm.
secret. But anyway, I was intrigued, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, so I was like, I'm gonna look into that. So yeah, that's it.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm always interested, even though it's like a trope that I'm like, oh, we've heard, here we go again. We've heard it before. I'm like, I don't care. I love it.
You
I'm
just
like,
eat it up every time.
yes. I'm like, oh, sounds great. A girl who has powers and doesn't know it. And then it's like, we don't know who the love interest is. And it was like secret powers, corrupt government. I'm like, yep,
Mhm.
all my things that I like. So
Check,
yeah.
check, check.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't care. Different names, don't care. It's fine. Um, okay. So Heather, thank you so much for coming and doing this. I know this has been quite the process. We've had a lot of technical difficulties. But Heather has like she hung in there. But do you want to tell everyone where they can find you on Instagram, like your book account?
Yeah, my book account's at Heather's Booked. I post there when I can, just like little reviews here and there. You know, busy college student, so I try not to put too much emphasis on it. But when
She
I
posts
do
like
read a
really
book,
nice, like aesthetic posts.
yeah, that's like my favorite thing. Is after I read a book, I like feel like a good book. I feel like I make it my personality, and I want to like what I imagine in my head. I like to put it out in like a collage. So if I like post like on my book account, it's definitely a collage, which I have one for done and dusted by Lila Sage that I need to post on there.
Yeah, I actually, what's funny is like I think maybe that's how I started, how I wanted to read this Silver Lies one, because as I talk about it, I'm like, I don't know what this is about, but I think I saw something like that it was like
Yeah,
the vibes of it, like pictures and stuff, and I was like, ooh, this looks like
I love
this
it.
sounds cool. Like you don't even know what it's about, but you just see the pictures and you're like, yeah, I'm into this feeling.
Yeah, I'm such a visual person, so I love to like kind of see, like I don't really need to know major plot points. If I can just kind of see the general like vibe, I'll be like, yeah, I want to read it, or no, I don't want to read that. So
Yeah. Okay, I guess we try to just keep talking and find a place to like cut off. Usually we're like, okay, and goodbye. If you've made it this far and didn't add this episode to your DNF pile, thanks a bunch.
That brings us to the end of this week's episode for the Don't You Two Read podcast. We hope you enjoyed hearing about our recently read books and hopefully getting to know us better as we begin this podcast journey with you guys.
We will be including timestamps in the description on every episode so you can check there for books or products that we mention in today's episode.
Be sure to tune in to our next episode when we will be chatting about all things books. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Don't You Two Read Podcast, and you can find me at Hannah Reads.
And I'm at Hilary Reads. If you enjoyed today's episode, would you take a moment to follow us? You can also rate and review us wherever you listen. And as always, please share this with all of your bookish friends.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Until next time, we hope you have a magical week filled with 5-star reads.